Welcome new and old friends. I am 242, and today I have some day stories for you, all about revenge. At first I have 2 stories of petty revenge, then we have 2 stories of ProRevenge, and at the end I have 1 nuclear revenge. So get yourself a cup of tea or coffee. Sit back and listen as I tell you stories of why you should be careful who you cross. This is an oldie but a goodie, family stuff ahead, featuring my sister and her best friend. I was 12 or 13 and was babysitting my sister and her friend. They were playing house and they found some empty beer cans that my parents must have finished before going out. They asked if they could play with them. I cleaned them out and let them have them. About 2 days later, my dad burst into my room screaming at me for giving a 6-year-old beer. Mind you, I'm still asleep when he burst in, so I was completely confused. Later, he shows me the empty cans in my sister's room and asked me why I let them drink. I tried to explain the situation. They were empty, I rinsed them out, and put water in them. He didn't believe me because my sister was so adamant about getting me grounded. It was summertime, so no phone, no going out, no allowance, but I still had to do the chores. No pool, we had one in the yard. 2 months, mostly my whole summer, grounded. To say I was ticked is an understatement. So, being older and wiser, I tricked her into confession. I asked my mom to stand by the kitchen window. It was open and led to our porch. I asked my sister after a bunch of small talk, "Why did you lie to mom and dad about giving you beer when it was water?" Her reply was, snarking face and all, "So you get in trouble." My mom flew out of the kitchen with the wooden spoon. This was well over 30 years ago, so this was much more commonplace than today. Sister got a spanking and grounded, and I was repaid my allowance plus some, and was allowed a pool party that weekend that I invited all the kids in the neighborhood to, including my sister's friends. She watched from her room all day. Now, as adults, we laugh about it, but damn, kids can be straight up evil. That's horrible to get blamed for. Something you didn't do and then get grounded that long. And I'm so happy that they got their little sister confessed, and now that they can laugh about it as adults, that's great. But, oh boy, is Opie right. Children are evil. Emotionally abusive ex-husband wanted to file taxes together. This was nearly 10 years ago, yet I still look back and chuckle. I was working 3 jobs and going to school at night, and he was working part-time for 1. While I had cancer, he lost 100 pounds with extreme dieting, eating less than 500 calories per day because he said that he was sick of me getting all the attention. We were divorced near the end of January, which meant we were married for all of the prior year. We filed for a cheap divorce since we didn't have any shared money, things, or children, so nothing was stated on how to file our taxes. In March, he called and said that his tax guy had figured out that if he filed his taxes as a single, then he would owe over $2,000. And if I filed my taxes single, then I was going to get paid $400. However, if we filed jointly, then we get paid $450. He offered that if we did so, then he would pay the tax guy for his service and keep the $50 profit. At this point, my dad did my taxes for me for free, so there was absolutely nothing in it for me. I just said no and filed separately that afternoon. Edit. It was pointed out that I didn't clarify his offer. I kept my entire $400. He used the $50 to pay the tax guy. He was hoping, and I quote, that I would do the right thing to keep him from owing money since it didn't hurt me at all to do so. Your abusive ex-husband who couldn't even work, and you had cancer and he decided you were getting all the attention, wanted to file taxes with you so he could save money, but you didn't get anything really out of it. Yeah, OP, you completely did the right thing, and F your ex. Seriously. You scare me with one of my biggest fears, so I made you go face to face with yours. Okay, so my cousin is a prankster. She likes to tell jokes, and one of her favorites is during the holidays, she likes to tell me my uncle, her dad, is coming to pick me up. If I'm being honest, my uncle is not a nice man. He yells at me and everyone for everything. He lies about people to make them look bad and for him to look good. He makes fun of me for being overweight. He's very verbally abusive, and it's gotten to the point where I pretty much gray rocked him, which is basically no contact. And her favorite prank is telling me that he's coming to pick me up to take me to a family gathering, which I usually avoid going to if he's there. And 2 hours in a car with him, that's literally hell. So, a couple of weeks ago, she lied and told me he called and was going to pick me up for my birthday. I felt like I was having a panic attack. I remember crying, hyperventilating. I was pacing back and forth trying to figure some way out. And yes, visiting him is that bad. She started to laugh. I told her that's not funny. She knows how I feel about that man. She said,
"Don't you feel better now that you know he's not actually coming?"
I haven't forgotten that. It's been 2 weeks, and I've had enough of that prank. I wanted to prank her to kind of get her back. I remembered her biggest fear, clowns. She's been scared to death of clowns since she was a kid. So, I had a friend that's over 6 feet tall, dress up in a scary looking clown suit. I told her I got a free dinner for 2 coupon for my birthday to her favorite restaurant and wanted to share it with her to bait her. We left and I had my clown in place. The plan was to stop in the middle of an old rural road and stop the car at a specific spot where my friend was hiding. Everything went to plan. My friend parked his old junk car in the ditch on the side of the road. I stopped and said, "We need to check it out, see if they needed help." While she looked in it and looking around for the owner, I snuck back to my car. My clown runs out of the old barn and straight for us. She saw him, froze, and started screaming. She ran to my car, but I sped off before she could get in. I didn't abandon her. I just drove over the hill to where she couldn't see me from where the old car was and watched my rearview mirror. She tried running with the clown chasing her, screaming for help. He caught up to her, and she got on her knees and started crying. He laughed and revealed it was just a joke. I drove back and started laughing with him. She told me that it wasn't funny, and I repeated what she told me, the "don't you feel better" line. She screamed and yelled the whole car ride at me, that I could have scared her to death. I told her that's how it feels when she tells me about my uncle. This is a really bad prank for the cousin to do. I mean, you know that they don't like your father. They don't want anything to do with your father, so why are you pranking? You're causing panic attacks. So OP had to show you what it feels like to be scared really bad, and I agree. I think this is the only way to get her to stop, and if she doesn't stop after this, it might be a no contact thing with her as well. I wish you the best of luck, OP. Aggressively speed through a residential neighborhood. Now your car is wrecked, and it's all your fault, dumb Bubba. So, this happened quite a few years ago. One day, my kids were skating in a quarter pipe when this truck comes around the corner with a Bubba driving. and he sees my daughter coming off the quarter pipe, and instead of slowing down, he floors it and rips past my house, still accelerating while yelling something about keeping off the road, effers. I also yell, "Slow down." The following weekend, I'm out mowing my lawn, and I see this guy coming, so I walk out to the edge and try to wave him down to talk. And Bubba floors it again, laughing like a maniac, and he goes flying by with his engine redlining. This guy is nuts. So, I go to the hardware store and pick up 3 of those 3-foot orange safety cones, and I put a sign on each one of them, "Slow down, residential neighborhood, kids at play." A few days later, I come outside and find that the cones have been run over. I already know who done it. I'm pretty teaved off, like really angry, and in this anger, I come up with the most brilliant plan. I went to the hardware store again and purchased 3 new cones, along with cement and steel rebar. I filled those effers up with rebar and cement and let them set. After the cones were ready, I put them back out in the side of the street by my house with the same 3 signs as before. It didn't take long. 2 days later, I'm in the garage tinkering, and I hear the darn truck engine revving up as the Bubba goes pedal to the metal. I look up just in time to see his truck steer towards the shoulder to run over the cones. Darn, it was a beautiful sight, like none I've seen before. He hit the first cone with his bumper, and the cone fell forward and rotated the base up towards the engine block, and actually lifted the front of his truck upwards, as his front passenger wheel made a direct connection with the second cone and launched his truck up even higher in the air. The third cone also made a direct hit on his right tire suspension as his truck came down to a screeching halt. There were fluids out from under his truck, and his passenger tire was angled inwards at a 90-degree angle. Now Bubba was ticked off and started screaming about how I wrecked his truck and how I'm going to pay. I yelled back and said, "Well, let's call the cops and get them out here to make a report. And you can tell them how you raced down this road and intentionally ran over safety cones. Or can I call you a tow truck? Which will it be?" We called a tow truck. I never did see Bubba drive down my street anymore after this incident. I was worried he'd try to get revenge, but nothing ever happened, and we moved out a couple of years later. Edit. Didn't expect this to blow up like it has. For those who are talking about the legality of what I did and getting busted or sued, let me clarify some things here. First of all, this happened a long time ago. The legal time limit has expired for anyone to do anything about it in any legal capacity. Also, I consider myself sharper than the average bear, and I didn't exact my plan without thinking it through and thinking about the consequences of my actions. I know a thing or two about how the law works. If Bubba wanted to call the cops, I'd gone inside my house and locked the door. If the police arrived, I'd tell them through a locked security screen, I don't answer questions, and my only statement would be that I only speak through a lawyer. At that point, police would make the report and run it up the chain of command. If the state or local prosecutor wanted to conduct an investigation, I'd go with my lawyer and deny any involvement. They'd have to, at this point, decide how much time do they have to try and investigate this matter and what is the likelihood of conviction. Since I lived in a big city, I'm sure they had a lot worse stuff happening that would be taking up their caseload. I think Bubba got his just desserts. This is not the first time I've read a story where people are putting more dangerous stuff in things when you run them over. Second of all, you really shouldn't be driving that fast in a residential zone. It's really not safe. You can end up killing someone. But at the same time, reading the explanation from OP made me feel a little dirty just because of some of the stuff he said. Not that it's not true, though. Anyways, that's my thoughts on this one. Steal my money, take my house, put me in debt. Now it's time for me to ruin your life. My ex stole from me close to 90k euros, which I saved up for 9 years. When I took her to court, I lost due to lack of evidence. At the moment, I felt destroyed and lost it all. She even sued me for emotional damages, and I had to pay 55k euros. So I was forced to sell my house and take a big loan from the bank. I stayed at a friend's and helped me find good lawyers, and we just found an amazing one. In one day, he helped me so much and even helped me get the info of who took money from my bank account. Something was wrong. The 29th of June, a transaction happened in my name. I never made it. I wasn't even in the country at the time. Well, wouldn't you look at that? I was ready to go back into court when I found out she bought my house. Well, I had a safe that I never told her about, hidden in the bathroom behind the cabinet. Well, she ruined my life. Why not ruin her even more? So I had an accomplice that helped me buy some drugs worth about 400 euros and used a friend to hide it there. The safe had a 4-digit code, that being 0000. Never got to change it to something else. And before taking her to court again, I had the same friend who hid the drugs turn her in. It took about a week for the cops to receive a mandate to search the house. They found nothing in the first 2 hours, and they probably wouldn't have if my friend hadn't left the safe open. The 400 euro worth of drugs was equal to 5k euro fine and 12 years of prison. Well, I'm not done yet. Court time again. I had the lawyer get the footage from when the money from the bank was transferred, and also documents showing that I was not in the country at the time. We also found the account in which the money was sent to. The name on the account was my ex's. Well, look how the tables have just turned. My lawyer also demanded payment for emotional damages, all the money that was stolen, the house, and also money equivalent to 2 times the debt I had in the bank, which is equal to about 140k euro. The look on her face when everything came down crashing on her was totally worth it. And on top of the 12 years from drug possession she received, an additional 25 years for theft and false testimony. Enjoy it, witch. So OP originally posted this in ProRevenge, and ProRevenge has a strict no felony rule, which, even with that aside, this was pretty nuclear. Nuclear to me means you completely ruin someone's life. And it's crazy to think that OP really trusted their ex and they completely betrayed them. And I don't think the drug charges were called for, but at the same time, this person definitely deserved some karma back, and they got it. And I'm really happy OP got all their money back and their friggin' house. I can't believe they bought their OP's old house. That's just messed up. This ex completely deserved it. With that, my friends, we're at the end. I hope these stories serve to remind you why you should not cross people. Who knows what they might do? If you like my channel, there are 2 things you can do to help me. First, you can just like the video. And if you want to hear more stories of day or night, hit the subscription button. Of course, if you know people who might like this video, share it. The second way is I have a Patreon. The link is in the description box. There are some bonuses that come with it. But either way, thank you for watching my video, and please come back Sunday for Stories of Night. Something to give you chills. Have a good day.